I was watching this video this morning when, well, it was talking about prisons during without rule of law scenario. And one of the things that was suggested was that it was logical to bar up the prisons, allow the prisoners to all die, uh, those who aren't a danger to you, those who just made mistakes, whatever, and just let them die. And I kind of wondered about that because he said it was logical. Then I got to thinking, what does logic dictate? Logic dictates not to do that, actually. Here's the thing. Our justice system isn't a justice system. It's a revenge system. Let's make something perfectly clear. This is logical, but it's a fact. So it's a logical fact that whenever you try to get justice for yourself, they call it revenge. Whenever you try to get someone else to get revenge for you, they call it justice. There's no difference. Justice and revenge are the same thing. And you have to understand that, because once you understand that there's going to be repercussions regardless for anything you take. There's going to be a reaction to every action you take. Doing something like this, or what it was suggested, will in fact cause a very bad reaction. Starting with this. Number one, you don't know who in these prisons have what group associations. If you assume because you're a prepper, you're the only one who's prepared, you're full of shit. Most mafiosos, most big-time drug dealers, stuff like that, these guys have guns, money, supplies, shit stashed away for them to get the hell out of Dodge in case the cops come looking for them. They're prepared to bug out. Some of them have safe houses and places to bug into. They have their own BOLs. So what's going to happen when you kill off a bunch of gang members and their brothers and friends come looking for you? And they have guns, and maybe they have training, and you're hit, you're screwed. Because how are you going to deal with that? Oh, you're going to fight it out. Okay, well, guess what? That's going to cause some problems, because you're going to be putting your community's life in danger, because you don't know who these people are associated with. And I'm not saying that should be your only fear, but let's just put it this way. If my brother is in that prison that you isolate, and I come in to save him because he hasn't had food in 3 fucking days, I doubt he's had water, I figure he's going to need to be medically evac the fuck out. And I come in to break into the prison to free him because he's just been left in there. And you try to stop me? Not only are you going to have a firefight, but if I get in there and he's dead, or for whatever reason there's too many people for me to directly confront you with this, and I'm not going to waste my manpower confronting you on this openly on your terms, and chances are most likely because of what you've done he's dead, or I show up and he's dead because of what you've done, and I've heard it was because you wouldn't allow these prisoners to get out or anyone to get in, I'm coming for revenge. Fuck justice. I want revenge. I want you to suffer. I'm coming to kill you. I'm going to start with your family, with your community. I'm going to force them to isolate you because you brought this down on their heads. Your idea, your plan. You brought this down on their heads. I'm going to let them isolate you. You have made yourself a target. You have made your community a target. You have made your family a target. Just because you weren't thinking of the reaction of other people who are going to lose family and friends in that event, in that choice you made. And you've made yourself and your community a target. More than that, a lot of communities are probably going to have friends and family in there. Hell, your own community is going to have people who have friends and family who are going to die there. And when they die there, they're going to be pissed off at you. They're going to be pointing fingers at you. You are going to become isolated from your community based on that choice alone. Add to that. Yes, I said add to it. Add to that other communities are going to be pissed off at you. Other people are going to be wanting your head. You're going to further isolate yours and yours from everyone else around you. And when you start isolating yourself, you make yourself a very easy target, because not only are you a target for the choice you made, not only have you pissed off a bunch of people, not only will some people be coming for you and gunning for you and trying to kill you, but your own community around you is going to be pissed off at you. They're not going to like what you've done. Some of them might try to kill you. Others might simply say, you know what, he's got his own little group. They all have, fancy equipment and guns and training, and I'm not going to mess with them because I don't think I can take them. However, if you guys want to go mess with them, go ahead. I'm not involved. I'm just going to look the other way. I'm going to turn my head, shut my door. As long as you don't mess with me, I won't mess with you. I didn't see anything. You weren't here. It's all good. And once that isolation starts to occur, you're in trouble. What we're talking about here is politics. And yes, politics is a factor into this, because all people are going to be based off of politics. All your interaction with people is going to be based off of politics. If you aren't popular in your community, you aren't going to be popular outside your community. If the only thing I know about you is that you let people die because everybody in my community says you try to play God by deciding that nature will take its course in the petri dish of the prison system that was isolated and that other people couldn't get in to save their families or their loved ones or whatever else, you're going to run the risk of not only pissing everyone else off, but of being so isolated that no one's going to care what the fuck happens to you. Someone's going to come to kill you, and everybody's going to say, let it. In fact, your own family, cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, who have their own families to worry about, will probably isolate themselves from you. They will deal with you when they have to, but in the meantime, they want to be left the fuck alone, because they don't want you bringing trouble to their doorstep. You say, look at it logically. I am. Logically speaking, not everyone can cut off their emotions. And for the people who can't, you have to consider a way to either manipulate or exploit those emotions. And if you're out here making enemies, you're going to make it hard to find any safe haven anywhere. It just doesn't happen that way. And this is part of that whole every action has a reaction type of thing. That's true in physics. It's also true in men. There's nothing that you can do the right thing and still cause enemies. You can do the wrong thing and still cause people to be your enemy. Either way you go, you can still make enemies. But in a without rule of law scenario, you do not want to do something that will make you enemies outside of your community. You don't want to do something that will make you a target for other communities or for people from other communities. Because, logically speaking, you can't do it all yourself. You aren't a one-man army. And even if you have a platoon-sized mutual assistance group who all have military training and everything else, you run the risk of being isolated from your community and putting their lives, your family's lives, the lives of their family in danger because of certain choices you make. I'm not saying that there's any moral objection. I'm not saying what you're advising is right or wrong. I'm saying that in this situation, you need to understand that your rules of engagement need to not only be able to deal with a possible threat and with other people, but you also need to show some sort of civility, which will be carried over into a political spectrum. People don't realize this. That's a reason why a lot of politicians don't do the military appropriate thing, because they're trying to reduce what they refer to as blowback, that reaction to the action you take. Because when there is a reaction to the action you take, sometimes that reaction is a lot more than what you're expecting. Sometimes it's a lot more than what it can take. For a person who loses their brother, they might want you to be grievously injured, crippled even, and then to watch your family die in front of you, executed for the crime that they feel that you committed. And even though that's far more gruesome than what has actually happened, or far more violent than what you've actually done, all you're doing is saying, well, I'm going to let nature take its course. We're going to keep these people isolated in this petri dish, and somehow nature will take its course. No, nature won't, because nature is that, whatever happens, happens. And by you trying to control what happens, you're playing God, regardless. No matter what you do, you're playing God. And that can put you in a very lonely, very isolated, and very dangerous position in life, especially when there is no rule of law to protect you, no blanket of authority to hide behind.